Hi guys, thanks for dropping by again. Well, from my last video on the Swedish Army stove and windshield, you may have been expecting this. This is a Swedish Army gas mask bag from pre-war World War II. I have seen it referred to as the M36 and also the M39 Swedish Army Gas Mask Bag. I think it is the M39. I purchased this at a military service surplus store in Australia. So let's have a look at it. Right, there are two versions of this. Basically a grey version and also a brown version. These are getting much rarer to acquire. It's made of a heavy-duty canvas with leather tie-downs and metal studs. There is a shoulder strap and a further strap, which I think is too small to be a waist strap, and maybe it's just to attach to an existing backpack. Very strong stitching. The leather, genuine leather, made to last. And I don't think these are going to be available for too much longer. After all, that's probably 60 years old. Anyway, let's have a look what I've got inside. The stamp inside refers to the 10th of December 1940 and one crown, which I think is the Swedish Army or one of the arms of the Swedish military. And in here we have a M40 Swedish Army cookset. Now, in the front pocket of the gas mask bag, it may have been made to contain filters or some disinfecting liquid, but it's just the right size for a Swedish Army Spirit bottle. This has got the 3 crowns on it, so that fits quite neatly in that. So what we have here is a Swedish Army M40. M40 meaning that it is made of stainless steel. Later in the Second World War, in 1944, they brought out an aluminium version, and that is called the M44. Now, once again, these are really old. The M40 would have come out in 1940, if not before, and that makes it over 60 years old. And they're getting much rarer. Now, it appears decades ago these were very cheap, but in the last maybe 5-10 years, the demand for these has gone through the roof, and these stainless steel cooksets can cost you anywhere from $200 to $300 Australian, if not more. And as time goes on, they're going to get more valuable. Now, the leather strap is not genuine. I bought that from a shop. Leather strap like this probably wouldn't have been used that much in the field. These cooksets originally were strapped to the webbing or the backpack of a military personnel in Sweden, and the strap they used would have been different to this, but this seems appropriate. And of course, I've got it in the M39 gas mask bag, which it was not designed to use, but today it's just a nice container, and it's also another vintage military service item. So let's have a look at this M40. Of course, it's got the aluminium windshield, which was not around in 1940. These windshields came out from the 1960s when they came up with the large military version of the trangia burner. Anyway, on this item, it's got 3 crowns and looks like NC68 SVEA. So this particular windshield was probably manufactured in 1968, and before that the Army did not use these windshields. So let's have a look. Okay, first you'll notice the distinctive stainless steel hook and bail with a curve, straight edge and then a curve. And this is part of the original cookset. And I believe the idea was that this was suspended over a fire because they didn't have the meth burners back in the 1940s. And when they went to the individual soldier cooking their own meal with the military version of the meth burner, I believe they designed the windshield to fit the existing M40 and M44 cookers. So let's have a look at it. Now, in my last video, I showed you my first purchase of the Swedish Army windshield. This one actually has a stamp, once again, NC68 SVEA and the 3 crowns. This is in such good condition, I don't think this was issued and used in the field. Now, this is the M40. Now, when I purchased this, it had a very scungy black, thick black paint on the top and on the base, and clearly this had been used in the field during, I believe, during World War II. There is a YouTuber called InfoShed, an English guy, who received one of these himself, and he cleaned off the black paint and then resprayed it. So if you want to, you can check out InfoShed, I think his name is, his channel is, and I just copied basically what he did. So let's have a look at what the components are. Okay, firstly the top, which is actually a small frying pan. This is all stainless steel. The handle has these 2 D-rings, and YouTube seems to indicate that you would put either a knife, bayonet or a stick through these loops, and you could actually place it on a fire without hanging on to it, because obviously stainless steel would probably get very hot. Now, what I've got inside here are some modern versions, which are, once again, made in Sweden. Bowl, spork, and a modern version of I think it's called a cookset, made in Sweden. There are some genuine ex-military ones. Almost exactly the same design, slightly different green. But anyway, the large pot of the M40, once again, is stainless steel. You can see where the black paint, because clearly in the field you don't want something shiny like this flashing out. And the idea was that this would be suspended over a fire to cook a meal. So probably more communal than what happened in the 1960s, when individual soldiers would have basically heated up ration packs or water. So let's have a look at this. Oh. Of course, the military version of the trangia, once again the 3 crowns and NC 1968. This one has been polished. The windshield goes over the top, and the frying pan can go in there. As I said, this is not how they would have done it in the 1940s. This is why they brought out the windshield, and they did that from the 1960s, and the large pot. Now there is a technique whereby you can, and I'll try to do that. Now the technique is that hook, which was formerly used to hang this pot over a fire, can be used to pour without having to touch what would be very hot stainless steel. The frying pan can also be used as a lid or a secondary cooking vessel, or it can be put on the top. But that is problematic, being very hot. So I think it was probably used like that, with a stick or a knife to lift it off. Now, why did I spend hundreds of dollars getting this equipment? Well, it's still functional. It's still an excellent minimalist camp cook kit. We have a small frying pan, we have a larger pot, we have a windshield, we have a heating source, we have a fuel container, we have a bag for it. We can use modern day plastic implements. The Tatonka company also produces their own version of the trangia, and in fact does make a cap, because the military version of the trangia does not. And this simmer, you can actually use it as a simmer ring, or once again, it's stainless steel. You can actually use it to snuff out the flame. So it's still a useful kit. It can be used. It's very serviceable. It's certainly not for, I don't think, backpackers because of the weight of it. But one of the other issues why I bought it is, this is from the 1940s. These things are rare. They're not going to be around for much longer. And I just think it was once again, just as the trangia of the modern era was a great industrial design, to me, this is absolutely a superb example of great design and made for soldiers in the field. Now, because of the weight and the material, they had to change it in 1944 to aluminium, much lighter, and those were produced, and I think they were produced for much longer. I don't know the exact date when they stopped making them, because of concern with cooking in aluminium. But I think this is a wonderful addition to anyone's camp cooking collection, or just on the historical basis. So there we have it. The M40 Swedish Army cookset, windshield and stove, and the M39 gas mask bag, ideal to carry it all in. So thanks for dropping by, and see you on the next one.